being organic is important. The problem we run into is the consumer wants the true organic, the small family farmer who's doing what we're doing, but they can't differentiate it from people that are just hiding behind the organic label.
On a small farm, it's generally run by the family and family help. Their heart's there. They're going to stay there. They have a vested interest there.
The best day of the year is the day in the spring when we open the gates and let the cows go, when the weather is dried up enough and the temperature is warm enough to grow grass. We let the cows out and they go out and they do their spring dance, and it's just their celebration of being outside and having fresh grass, and it's a spectacular thing to watch every year, and I've seen it every year for my entire life. Never gets old. We'll bring the kids home or let the kids stay home from school to watch it. Now that would be my grandchildren that we're doing that with.
We know that when cows are on grass, the milk and meat is higher in omega-3 fatty acids and other beneficial nutrients. When the cows are on grass, they're a lot healthier. My oldest cow just was 16 years old and still milking. And the average cow will milk for 2.5 years in a confinement kind of a system. So when cows are on pasture, we have a number of them that are 10, 12 years old. They live a lot longer.
You can be organic and have access to outdoors, but I really want chickens that are outside. I love that bright orange, flavorful yolk that you really only get from birds that are raised outdoors.
It takes taking care of your pastures and making sure that they've got the grass and the bugs. You know, they get a good bit of protein out of this space, and all that goes into the eggs. It's pretty hard to feed them that way in a controlled environment.
I've had the privilege of being in some factory scale organic chicken layer houses, and I don't think it's quite what most people would imagine organic egg production to be.
To us, pasture is such a critical part of raising cattle and chickens and pigs that making organic all just being about what you're excluding from the production system instead of what you're including just doesn't really jive with us.
But the contribution that agriculture in this world could make to climate issues is just tremendous, and it's hardly ever mentioned. We need to have our side of the story told.
You know, I think that the current dairy climate is very unsettled, and it's been a very difficult patch for other organic dairy producers, with lots of milk that's being produced that's not quite in line with what most consumers think of as organic practices.
There's a huge shift underway towards large confinement, organic and name-only operations in the western United States that milk, 5, 10, 15,000 cows and somehow supposedly even meet the 30% dry matter intake from pasture rule, which they don't, and if they do, it's only because they do really creative math. For years, sales of organic dairy products just masked a lot of what was going on with the consolidation and these massive, fraudulent organic dairies out west dumping milk into the market at prices we can't touch because they're just feedlots.
July of 2018, our pay price was 50 cents lower than it was in July of 2010. No, 2008, sorry. We're 50 cents lower than we were 10 years ago, right now.
There's definite challenges to staying in this industry. There's some massive farms producing the lion's share of the milk now. And while you're not seeing any decline in milk production, you're seeing a decline in number of families, which is not a positive thing, because we want to be here. We want this lifestyle. We want to stay in the industry. But if you are in the red and you financially just cannot make it, then there's only one way out, and that's to walk away. So,
anytime you can capitalize something and figure out how to make more money doing it, somebody will do it. And USDA is not preventing it, so it's working right now. It's a big mystery to me why that is okay.
Where organic is now veering off a bit into becoming something industrial and commercial, and we need to bring it back some. We need to celebrate our successes as an industry and as a group of farmers and as a group of consumers to where we can have more confidence in the purity of our food. But we need to understand that we can't allow ourselves to go to the cheapest is best paradigm. When animal welfare standards changed and animals aren't allowed access to sunlight and pasture, when that's denied and they're put in confinement situations, then called organic, it's again a violation of the fundamental principles of animal welfare that are just key to the rule as it's written now. The rule says that animals need to have access to sunlight and a certain amount of pasture every year for their health. And in turn, if you believe that this chain of relationships, so the nature of this relationship is that their health and our health are intimately twined together.
Well, that's why a lot of us are trying to differentiate our products from, the USDA organic and trying to figure out different ways of doing that.
I want organic to be meaningful. When people see that organic label, I want them to know and believe in the integrity of the product, that they're really getting, particularly with livestock, that they're getting animals that were treated well, that were treated with the most natural methods possible for the animal.
The recent trend in really what seems to be a watered down organic standard of large CAFO dairy and confinement animal production really runs contrary to our principles. And so I think that's something that drew us to the Real Organic Project, because we'd like to support a farmer-driven effort to, kind of take back what organic means in the public's eye.